Now for part 2 of Sun in the 5th and 11th house. In this video, I gotta talk about the Sun's impact when it is placed in the 11th house. The impact would still be the same if you have Sun in the 5th house because the Sun has an opposite aspect. The Sun represents things like entrepreneurship, self expression, ego, pride, self esteem, etc. The 11th house represents your role in organizations, slash, clubs, and groups. It could be organizations on social media as well, like operating a Facebook page. The 11th house represents friends and your relationship with them. The 11th house is also about your older siblings and the relationship with them. The 11th house represents the limitations of what you can gain in this lifetime, especially things like a salary, and it represents other things. Other things such as the other things that the 11th house represents. I don't feel like explaining too much of it. Let me get into what's really important. Easily, the Sun represents your father, so let's talk about your father's impact into your life. This shows your father, adopted, even stepfather, could be the reason you accomplish your goals and desires in this lifetime. For example, let's say you need someone to give you rides to college because obviously college is important in achieving your dreams. Then your father would be the one making sure your transportation is dealt with, or he would just carry you himself. Another example is your father influences the amount of money or things you can obtain in this lifetime. For example, even though the 8th house is associated with gifts and unearned money, your father can still give or help you get those things. The Sun can help show where your father is, so your father might be around your older siblings or friends a lot. Additionally, this may mean your older siblings would act like your father. Maybe your older siblings share the exact same traits of your father. They may look exactly like your father. What if you grew up without your father? Maybe your older siblings, male or female siblings, try to be the father figure in your life. Keep in mind though, this isn't a placement that guarantees a father won't be in your life for whatever reason. Let me stick with talking about older siblings. Remember, the 11th house is your older siblings, even if it's a twin born 10 minutes before you. I actually tested this out recently. Now, the Sun is about ego conflict, leadership, and independence. Those are the things that will occur if you have older siblings, especially if you live with those older siblings. Even if it's a step, half, or adopted sibling. In fact, the sun can the Sun in the 11th house can increase the chance of you having an older sibling. You may say to yourself, you don't have an older sibling. Who knows? Your father might have been promiscuous when you were young, or before you were born, I should say. This Sun affects the relationship you have with all of your older siblings, meaning they would all interact the same way towards you. You just gotta stay around them long enough to find out. You get into arguments with your older siblings a lot. The arguments are about who is right and who is wrong. You would be like, Your methods of doing things are the correct way and vice versa, which now means you and your older siblings don't like taking orders from each other. It doesn't matter who is right. Egos just become the issue. The son can make your older siblings, or at least one of your older siblings, be a leader or his or her own boss, since they have an independent personality about them, or at least towards you, which increases the chances of them owning a company or doing entrepreneurship. Although the troubles, you may still have pride or self esteem boost when amongst or about your siblings. For example, you know how in school someone would brag about who their big brother is, they would boast about how their older sister or whatever is in a higher grade. Then when they go around those older siblings, they change, right? You would notice they become more confident and might even turn into a bully or something. This could happen even as an adult if you have this sun placement. Some people can't wait to brag about the type of profession their older brother or sister has. They do this in order to feel better about themselves and have some sort of identity about themselves. Basically, they use their older siblings as a way of self expressing themselves. Which means when you go around or amongst an older sibling, who you are as a person really comes out. You could even be an introvert and would still be a little more extroverted whenever around older siblings. Your older siblings will get to see the true side of who you really are. Either this could be a good or a bad thing. Let's say you have a Sun and Mars conjunction in your 11th or 5th house. Due to the Sun making them knowing who you truly are, the arguments caused by Mars will make them bring up your darkest secrets. Actually, the Sun in the 5th or the 11th house alone can cause for this to happen because you and older siblings will often get into ego conflicts. Now, let's focus on the other aspect of what the 11th house represents, which are your friends, followers, acquaintances, fans, even the friends that you have never met. A lot of us have online friends. A lot of us have followers on social media. So, Sun in the 11th house drastically affects the relationship you have with those people. For example, just like with older siblings, you can often get into ego conflicts with friends, but I notice the ego conflicts happen less with friends than with older siblings. The reasoning is obvious. A person is more than likely to interact with family rather than friends because you and the older siblings may live together. The Sun is independent, so a theme happens with them. A person that has Sun in the 11th or 5th house would be independent towards friends, meaning they prefer to not have friends around them or friends that influence their decision making. If you have displacement, you can be someone that doesn't get peer pressured by friends since you want to be the leader amongst friends and in groups, which can cause conflicts because, like in school, when we did group projects, someone always tries taking on the leadership role. The issue is friends may not agree with what you are saying, or oftentimes you have no influence on them. It's like back and forth, and you tell them what to do, and they don't listen, vice versa. Another version of this could be when you try going out with one of your friends and you two, or you and the rest of your friends, can get into an agreement with deciding which restaurant, which club, or whatever destination to go to. As a result of this, a person with this kind of sun prefers doing things alone. The wolf that leaves the pack type of person, a true alpha male amongst friends. On the flip side, you use knowing the right people like acquaintances or friends as a way to uplift yourself. This is a common thing. People get excited when they go certain places and friends recognize or acknowledge their presence. You don't even have to go anywhere. You can be having a regular conversation with someone and be like, oh yeah, I know the president of the United States. Me and him are good friends. Another example, you would be like, yeah, I can get this job because I know the owner. It's almost like you brag about networking or knowing certain people, which is important because your pride and confidence relies heavily on knowing people and seeing your friends. Clearly, this can be a remedy to help with your depression. Hence why the sun in the 11th house aspects the 5th house of partying and going out. We tend to do hobbies with friends like going to clubs. You would be the friend that tries standing out amongst your other friends. It may happen unintentionally. I should elaborate more that you become more confident when amongst friends or just simply one friend. A good example of this is an interview Funny Marco did with, I forgot the guy's name. People pointed out how this guy was acting normal until his friend G Herbo came into the interview. His entire demeanor changed. He became so confident that he was almost like a bully. This is the type of confidence and pride the sun gives, and it definitely comes out when around a friend. People that are in gangs, clubs like a science or a baseball club. Another is people in those social organizations, political parties, or simply a part of movements or campaigns. Those people would take pride and always represent that they are a part of those things. You know how people wear a wristband, have a tattoo, or a badge with the name of the organization they are a part of. Actually, Freemasons do this a lot. These are the people with sun in the 11th or the 5th house, which, if you have displacement, the sun increases your chances of having top ranking or positions in the organizations you are a part of. I think this can even include the company you work for, which could make someone be a president or a chairman of that particular organization. Anyways, follow me on the other apps. There will be more videos to come.